Woo! It's a little cold this morning, guys. Yep, didn't paint the Prius yesterday. We'll do this today. Should be good and dry. Go ahead and knock that down and paint this bumper. 39 degrees, 100% humidity. It's wrapped up tight today. So, I don't know what that means. It means it's gonna be cold or something. But I don't have any propane for my heater, so it's a little cold this morning. But I've been looking through my older videos. I was gonna answer some questions. And I'm usually not good at answering long-winded questions. And Matt asked me about some Trizac stuff, and I always get mixed up when I mention the Trizac stuff. I think me and Matt pretty much use the same stuff. I don't know. I think maybe he used McGuire's now. But this is the first compound I'll use, is the Perfected #1. And then if it's a darker light car, you know, I use the light colored or dark colored, depending on the color of the paint. This is the #2. And then this is the stuff that I like to call Trizac all the time. It's a #3. And it's called Ultrafine Machine Polish. This is the 3rd step. And I like to use the blue pad with that. And I do have some old Trizac compound, just a little left in these 2 bottles, sort of green looking stuff. But it's turning sort of lighter now. But I don't think I can get it anymore either. What? Cold. No shit, it's cold. But that's what I use right there. Sorry for the confusion. And depending on the paint, how fresh the paint is, you know, I'll use a wool pad. This is a 3M pad that I use. I like the Swaggles. This is a 05719 3M wool. I don't like the wool so much if I'm buffing inside because they make such a mess. This is the pad that I used for the 2nd step, the black pad. There's 2 different kinds of black pads. You know, there's that one there, and then there's this pad, the E7. This one's a little more aggressive, and it fits the back of the buffing pad a little different. This one's open on the back, and this one's got like a side on it. And these red pads are the same way. They have 2 different types of bite. This one's a little more aggressive than this one. And usually the more aggressive pad has a tighter foam. I do like the blue pads. I need to buy some new ones. That's the number for the blue pad, 33275, and those work really good with the blue. You know, you can almost go right to that and be done with it. You know, I don't have any hand glaze here. The 3M hand glaze is another good item that breathes pretty good. I don't like these buffing pads. They I don't know, I just don't care for them. They seem to be a little too aggressive for me. They're sticky. So those are the 3 main things I use. And I think the other big tip for wet sanding at home, especially if it's your first time gonna buff or do something, is don't get more aggressive than the 2000A. That'll make it really slick. It won't take a lot of peel out, you know, but if you got to cut peel down, you can stay with some 1500 with a block, and then go over it with some of that 2000 and take the 1500 scratch out, and these 3 compounds will buff it up pretty quick. The dry film system, you know, I've got that over here in my cabinet, and it's pretty expensive, you know, the dry films with the interface pad and all that stuff. And that stuff is it's okay, you know. But you know, it's probably better in a production environment, you know. And the problem with the I don't know where I had somebody clean my cabinet, but here we go. I even have some of these interface pads that have the interface pad built into the sandpaper, which is pretty cool. These are 3000. Let me get the box open here. But these are pretty cool, you know. These go on the interface pad, and obviously they're, you know, you can put a little water, but they're not for the type of DA like Tommy was showing, the Hutchins water bug. These are sort of pricey, and they do make the job a lot quicker, but I can almost guarantee you sooner or later if you use these, you're going to get a curly cue in your paint job. And that sucks when that happens. You don't get curly cues when you wet sand, but you can get curly cues when you dry sand or you know, use the dry film. It does shorten the process quite a bit though, but every once in a while you get one of those little curly cues in the clear and your Wolfgang stuck. So that's what I use for buffing pretty much all the time. I know there's other brands, and I do use cheaper brands sometimes when I run low on the 3M, but the problem is the 3M is just so much faster. All the other stuff seems to, what you save in money, you waste in time. So, you know, it's a toss-up. You want to buff longer or spend more money. That's why I started sanding with less aggressive sandpaper. You know, you see it with 1000 grit, and when you cut 1000 grit scratches into clear coat, it's pretty aggressive. I mean, I know you can eventually sand those out, but you sort of make it a maintenance job then from there on out. You know, you're constantly wet sanding it, buffing it, and waxing it, and the 2000 doesn't seem to be as aggressive, you know. You can cut and buff it, and it stays buff, looks good, all that stuff. So it's pretty cloudy today, a little blue, not too bad, but gonna do a little buffing today and bolt some doors on Lily. Hopefully Hans will be feeling a little better. Got a little snow on the roof there this morning, little ice. So yeah, I got to put a new roof on my house. Doesn't leak or anything, but the insurance company is going to drop me because the roof's 15 years old. So I guess in Florida it doesn't matter if the shingles last 15 years or 30, you know, if they feel like it could be a threat if wind blows on it, you're gonna have to replace it. So somebody was telling me I could tear it off three rows up and put architectural shingles right over the top of it, and that was legal. So I don't know, it's been a long time since I did any roofing work. I did work for a roofer one time. Back when I worked for Scooter, I was bitching about not making enough money, and he got me a job roofing with one of his buddies, Frank Kessler. So I know JC and a few other guys that know me are laughing right now, but that was quite the experience. You know, back then they had the build-up roofs with the tar and the rocks. Those were a lot of fun. So yep, we'll be coming out here and jumping on this. Got to warm up a little bit, throw the doors on it, and actually I think I'm going to buff the doors real quick and then throw it on, and I got to hit the fenders, some spots that came back. So that'll be about the third buff. So we're going to be back on the camper here. So going to try to stay on this bad boy, and got to get up on the roof today and rip the roof off. I'm gonna buy some more tarps and pull the roof and see if there's any structure underneath the decking. I'm gonna redeck it and put a new piece of rubber on the top, new end caps and new side caps here. So that stuff is not cheap. I thought it wouldn't be too bad, but the cheapest I found it so far is $600 for a 10 by 34 sheet. So I got to pull all the AC units off, and I got most of the skylights out of it. I'm gonna put new ones. I got new ones already, and I don't know if I'm gonna put both ACs back in there, but I'm not putting an antenna back in it. So that was the first thing that got ripped off, was the antenna got left up and I don't know, hit a bridge or a tree or something with it. And then the other thing I hit was a bird, of all things, a big ass bird. Committed suicide and flew into the side of it when we were going down the road. So, and that put a hole up in the roof. So got a little bird damage, bird strike. All right, so hopefully that cleared the buffing thing up. And then I answered Grateful Meds. I answered your oil pressure issue. So hopefully you figure that out. You can try a oil booster kit. Relief valve. How long is this video? 11 minutes. I got a little bit of time left. You know, these are frowned upon. I realize that by the Volkswagen community, but they do boost the oil pressure up, and it keeps you from opening the motor back up. Obviously, if you're not having any other issues other than the low oil pressure, you can try this trick. They sell these kits. Come with a little stiffer spring, and the valve's a little redesigned, and this will boost the oil pressure up. You can get this through Bug Pack MP. Bug Pack actually makes a dial where you can dial pressure onto the spring and dial more oil pressure into it. The only other thing was, you mentioned you had a cover. I'm sure that you full flowed the pump and plugged it. You know, I know you know that. You got to plug this hole when you full flow it and put the cover on. If you don't fill that hole, that'll reduce the oil pressure. If you leave this hole open and put a full flow cover on it, it'll make it have no oil pressure. So you want to make sure that that was tapped. You mentioned that you didn't blueprint the pump. It's really not critical for oil pressure. All that does is improve the oil flow. So I don't think that's going to be your issue. And really, when you blueprint these, you just want to check the clearance of the gear, and you can flow that hole out a little better, but that hole almost always flows better than the case will flow anyway. So you can clean it up in there a little bit, but there's less benefit from that than you think. Now these new pumps, I did notice they're not hard anodized inside anymore. They're just raw aluminum machine. This is a 26 millimeter or 30 millimeter pump. With an old case. I know this is another thing that a lot of the Volkswagen guys don't like. I like the cast iron milling pump. You know, if you're going to use an old case that has a lot of wear on the webs, and by the webs, hang on a minute here. Let me get you a case down. There we go. Here's a engine case here. So the prime candidates for oil pressure loss would be, this case would be a good candidate. You can see how it's sort of shiny on the main landings here. That's an indication that this case was shuffling, is what they call that. And when you line bore this section here, it doesn't improve this section here, and you get oil pressure loss between these two halves right here, this half and this half. The other thing is, when you line bore the case, you can't line bore the cam, and that can cause some issues with oil pressure too. More than likely though, you know, the weight of the oil is another thing to look at. You didn't really mention what viscosity oil you're using, whether you're trying to use synthetic or a regular oil. Synthetic oils will also cause low oil pressure in a Volkswagen almost all the time, because you can't control the clearance issues. You know, they're just too loose for to sustain any oil pressure unless you get a pretty thick oil. So the other thing, when I was talking about side clearance on the rods, here's your rod here. Here's your rod journal. When they machine this crank, and they machine it all the way to the side and cut it with a stone, and your side clearance gets sloppy, you'll bleed oil pressure out of here, and that could be another issue. Without knowing all those clearances, you know, really just giving you suggestions. So hopefully some of that will help you, or one of them will help you. So I don't think it was your fittings though. I know Gene doesn't recommend any 90-degree fittings, but a lot of guys use them. and I have them on my car, and I've never seen a problem from the brass stuff. You know, and sometimes if it's a tight area, you got to use it. So hopefully that helps you guys out, and you can figure something out with that. And then you call me on the phone if you want to talk, and we can brainstorm it. So I'm gonna hang up now, go upload this, and when it gets a little warmer, or I'll make a pot of hot water and we'll come sand this car out here, because my little digits are frozen now, so I need to go inside and defrost some. But we'll be putting some videos up today, a couple more or whatever, and I'll give you a shot of Lily with the doors on it there, and I'll be getting close on that one. Maybe next week it can go bye-bye. So I get the doors hung on there, give it one more buff, and get the fender beading and stuff bolted in. And that one will be out of here. So I'm gonna pull this tranny out of this Titan. Talked to my buddy yesterday about that, so we're gonna pull that out and take it up there and fix this. Just having it sitting here broke's bugging me. So I think the sealing ring on the back of the pump's bad. I'm hoping it's either that or the Ford clutch blew up. So we'll take that apart and figure that out too. All right, guys, let me go ahead and shut this off, and I'll try to go through some of those old videos and answer some questions. Apologize for you know, being absent. Shit got pretty bad there for a while, but I'm feeling a lot better now, so I get back on top of it and get some of your questions answered.